Hello and welcome. We're going to be making a CNC project, and then I'm going to show you how to post it so that you can run it on your Avid CNC machine from Autodesk Inventor with the CAM file folder that we have right here. So I'm going to go ahead and create something really quick. I always use the XY plane because it just makes it easier when we're going to post it. I missed. So again, just a rectangle. I'd say, I don't know, 16 inches by 6 inches. That sounds good. I'm doing this without a mouse, so you'll have to excuse me. I'm going to extrude this not forwards, but backwards. Okay, so it defaults to forwards. I click here for backwards. Mostly what I put in the CNC is 3/4 inch stock. So there we have that. Okay, I'm just going to click on this little corner and it'll give me a nice view. Okay, so there we go. I'm going to start a sketch on the front here and then put a couple words on it just so that we have something with which to extrude or cut out. And you can do this with a lot of words. I will warn you that selecting all of the different letters is a pain in the butt. If there's a better way to do it than what I'm doing, it's awesome, but I don't know that there is. So let's just do something like, oh, I don't know, Mr. Spaeth. And of course, if you want to make that a different font, you got to select the whole thing. Select over here. I'm going to make the letters, I shouldn't make them too big. Maybe 1.5 inches would work well. Yeah, that's pretty good. Okay, and if you want to change this, I just put escape to get out of that, and I can drag it and put it over here. So we're just going to go finish, and then I extrude these. Maybe you don't need to even. I'm not really sure, but this is just the way I do it. This could be an extra step, so you can try it out without extruding it. But I'm going to extrude these back, but I'm only going to extrude cut by 0.25. Now, of course, I'm using maybe a different, this is Autodesk Inventor 2019. You may have a different version. Maybe it looks a little bit different. That's totally okay. So we're going to cut that out of there, and you can see what that looks like. Okay. So we're going to go over to CAM, and we need to put in a setup. And the setup should be relatively easy. Okay, when you push setup, you're going to get a couple different options for where 0, 0, 0 should be. Okay, so 0, 0, 0 should be right at that corner. Okay, and then if you hit tool isometric, it'll look at it like the CNC looks at it. So that's where I want 0, 0, 0 to be, that meaning 0x, 0y, 0z. Okay, and then you have a couple of different options here. So click through here. It says a side offset. You want 0. And this you should set as, this doesn't come set as your default. It should be. And the way you set that as your default, if you right click on it, you can make default. So that every time you do a setup, you don't have to wonder, like, why is there an extra 0.04 inches on each side? Well, because this right here. Okay, so we do not want to add stock to the sides. All right, so other than that, everything looks good. Over here, program name or number, you can play with that. It doesn't change anything. We're just going to say okay. Okay, so our setup is good. What we're going to do now is we're going to do the milling. We're going to go down to engrave. And I've played around with this a lot. You got to get the right tool. And so that's the big thing. Selecting the letters, no big deal for the most part. That's all you really need to do is select the tool, select the letters. But the tool is, I've had a hard time with this. So I've had the project lead the way library. I've had all sorts of different things, and I've only found one. Well, I found one thing that really works every time. So I go to buy tool material. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll down until I find a chamfer tool. That's right, a chamfer tool. You may have a 60-degree V-bit or a 45-degree V-bit. So check which one you're using. Doesn't matter. Just make sure you pick the right one. I'm going to pick one of them. You'll notice there's a bunch of them there. They're just they're changing something. I don't know what it is they're changing. It's probably over here somewhere. tool speed or something like that. Yeah, so they're changing some stuff over here. Cutting feed, that's what they're changing. So no big deal. You can always change the cutting feed on the CNC machine itself by increasing that. It's just a little button. It makes no difference. So we're just going to go select. So notice now I've got a weird looking tool, right? This is not the tool I want. I want that V shape. Okay, so I'm going to hit tool again. This is just the fastest way to do it. And I'm going to go to edit. And in edit, we're going to go to cutter, and we're going to change this tip diameter to 0.01. It needs to have something greater than 0. So I put in something really small. So now look, now we've got our V bit, right? And then my tools usually have a body length that's like, I don't know, 1 3/8, something like that. So I'm just going to put in 1.375, 375. This, you know, if that changes something, I'd be surprised. I wanted to make it look like mine. So I'm just going to go, okay. It says, hey, you know, this can't be undone. Great. I don't want it to be undone. And then we're going to hit select. And now you're going to notice, okay, that looks like the tool that I'll be using, right? So let me zoom in on this real quick. That looks like the tool I'll be using. All right. So we're going to go right here. Okay. So we have the tool ready, and that took me a long time to figure out. So you're welcome. Next, we're going to do contour selection. And again, this is going to be hard without a mouse, but bear with me. You want to pick the outside of the letters. You do not want to pick the bottom or the walls. It's very easy to do. Okay. And so when you pick it, it should look something like that. All right. And now some of these letters are going to have both an outside portion and an inside portion, like this P, the A, and the E. I will say the more letters you have to pick, the longer it takes. There's some sort of delay with the more letters you have. And so, you know, if you want to ask your students, hey, keep it to only, you know, so long here. And then it's the last one. Okay. So that should be it. I'm just going to click on these other ones just to see if there's anything else. Feed height, retract height, all of that looks good. Bottom offset is fine. Tolerance, sharp corners, yep, great. Minimum stay 2 inches. All of that's good. You really don't need to change anything else. Okay. So now you'll notice up here under my setup, I now have this engrave. Okay. And if I click on it and go simulate, I'm going to click a couple other options just so you can see what's going to happen. I'm going to pick stock, and then I'm going to show part comparison. Okay. Because obviously when we extruded it, we had all sorts of boxiness on it, right? So what this V bit is going to do is it's going to make sure that one side of the bit and the other side of the bit are touching both sides of the letter as it goes. It's very smart. Okay. And so we're just going to hit play down here, and it's going to show us what it's doing here. Okay. So we can see how this works. Kids absolutely love this. Sometimes I will always make sure I simulate, because sometimes what will happen is I will click the wrong thing, and you will notice this thing dive into the wood, and you're like, whoa, I didn't want that. And it's just because you either click the wall or click the bottom, something. And so that's perfect. Okay. So done with that, we can hit close on the simulation. The last thing you need to do is you need to post the process. This is where you save the file on a flash drive, so you can plug it into the computer that goes into the CNC, so that after you home and set up the X, Y, and Z to be 0 on the corner of your piece of wood, you can open the program and run the program. That's all there is to it. Okay, so we're going to go post process, but you want to make sure that we have the right language. Okay, so this one is set up for the Tormach. Okay, and Tormach is an option. We have a Tormach CNC in our shop, so there are 2 CNCs. But I want to do this one on our Avid CNC, which uses something called Mach 4 software. Okay. Now, if you will look on here, Mach 4 software does not exist. Tormach is right there. However, Mach 3 exists. Mach 3 works. I've done it 1,000 times. Okay. You're just going to give this a name. We're going to call it Mr. Spaeth. And then you can give it a comment if you want. You hit post and it will ask where you want to save it. So this is where you're going to click your flash drive. So you can quick take it over, plug it into the computer connected to the CNC, and do it that way. I'm just going to post it to my desktop for now. Hit save. Let it do its thing. And it should bring up a new program editor that shows you the G code that it's going to use in order to create what it is you're trying to cut out of there. Okay, so there's all the G code. That's exactly what we wanted. All right. So when you go over to your CNC, I don't need any of this anymore. I can close it all out. Here's Avid CNC, very easy to find. There's tons of support that these guys offer. The Avid CNC bed that I used, I made it. So they sent it to me in a box and I put it together. So it was like 40 hours of me putting that thing together. It's a really good machine. And so there's a couple things about it that, you know, if you need some help with, give me a call and I can help you out. But for the most part, you can find really good help right here. Okay. So again, the file will look like this, a .tap file, and your Avid CNC running Mach 4 will be able to run that. And you just have to make sure you home the machine, set your X, Y, and Z to 0 at that small little point down at the bottom left-hand side of your piece of wood. Make sure it's secure. Okay, and then you're off to the races. You can open it up, push run, and that's it. All right. So please let me know if you have any questions. I hope this was helpful.